of an addiction? An addiction is an uncontrollable compulsion to repeat a behavior regardless of its negative consequences. And caffeine itself is actually billed as a drug. It's considered a drug. It's a legal drug, but a drug nonetheless. So people who are addicted are as addicted as probably an alcoholic would be to a drink. Which I'm going to make a couple of comparisons between caffeine addicts and alcoholics, even though one is a lot, even though you might think that one is more extreme than the other, if it gets to a certain point, it could be just as bad, if not worse. Coffee, you can sleep when you're dead. Does anyone use that excuse that they use their coffee to wake themselves up in the morning? If they're really tired, do they run to the coffee maker and make a cup of coffee? Because I know I do. If I know I'm going to be up late for a while, if I know I'm going to be up late, I run to the coffee machine or to Dante's or to someplace and get myself a cup of coffee to make sure that I'll be able to last through the night. And the reason that this happens, I have 3 points that I want to make to you guys tonight. Caffeine acts on the central nervous system, and it kind of wards off drowsiness and restores your alertness. And the effects take place in as little as an hour. It's the most widely active psychoactive substance, and 90% of adults admit to using caffeine daily, regardless if it's coffee, if it's tea, if it's an energy drink, or a soft drink. But, so that's a big majority of the group. So the first point I'd like to make is effects when taken in moderation. The effects of caffeine on your body depend on your body size and the amount of tolerance that you already built up. So a taller, larger person will take more cups of coffee or more of an energy drink for them to feel their effects. And for smaller people or people who don't drink coffee all that often, it only takes maybe half a cup or a cup itself. It takes less than an hour for the effects to take place, but only about 3 to 4 hours for the effects to wear off. So 3 to 4 hours, if you think about it, is not that long of a span in a day. Let's say you have your coffee at 9. By noon, you're exhausted. By noon, you crash because caffeine has properties that make you want to crash as soon as the effects have worn off, and you're going for the next cup of coffee. Second point I'd like to make is the tolerance level and the withdrawal. They say that if you're pregnant, that you should, in order to keep the baby healthy, the amount of coffee that you should consume is less than 200 milligrams of coffee. So that's pretty much like 2 cups. So 2 cups a day will keep the baby safe. But a lot of people drink a lot more than 2 cups a day. A lot of people go for the large instead of the small, and all of that provides for different variations in the amount of intake. And actually, if you take more coffee than you're supposed to when you're pregnant, it can cause a lot of damage to the baby. So the first I'd like to talk about is tolerance. Caffeine tolerance develops very quickly, especially among heavy coffee drinkers, and where the problem is with younger people is with energy drinks. A lot of people drink energy drinks without realizing the harmful effects of exactly how much caffeine. If you look at the side of an energy drink, if you look at the nutritional facts, the amount of caffeine found in an energy drink is absurd. It's just, it's like 3 cups of coffee in 1 energy drink. But people do it because it's quick, it acts really quickly, it holds you over for a couple hours, but as soon after you crash. Complete tolerance to the sleep disruption effects of caffeine only takes about 400 milligrams of caffeine 3 times a day. So that's 4 cups of coffee. If you do it within 3 times a day, within 7 days you start losing sleep over the amount of coffee that you drink. Complete tolerance to subjective effects of caffeine is consuming 300 milligrams 3 times a day, so that's even less, but it takes 18 days to set in. So the headaches if you don't drink it, or the nausea if you don't drink it, or the just inability to be functional takes only about 18 days if you drink a cup of coffee 3 times a day for 18 days. These are actually some of the side effects that happen once you become tolerant and if you decide that you don't want to drink coffee, if you skip a day, if you skip a week. These are the effects that you feel. Headaches, irritability, inability to concentrate, drowsiness. The peak is normally 48 hours after your last cup of coffee, that you start really, really feeling these effects. So 2 days after your last cup of coffee, you start feeling irritable, you start feeling the need for more caffeine, you start to really get irritable, and people will take notice. The negative and the positive effects on the body. I've been talking a lot about the negatives, but caffeine actually does have some positive effects on the body, and it is necessary for us to consume at least some caffeine in some way. It actually is kind of healthy for you, but it's when it becomes excessive and it becomes too much that we run into problems. Increased activity in brain regions located in the front of the brain, that's like where your memory is located, your memory network. If you drink caffeine, it kind of boosts your memory. If you drink enough of it, it boosts your long-term memory, but your short-term memory gets impaired. So it's kind of like a win-lose. If you need to memorize something for a test, it's not that great to have coffee because if your test is in 3 days, you won't remember it. But if it's something that's immediately after, you'll be fine. It's a common myth, and I know that I was told this, that if I drank coffee every day, it would stunt my growth. And I'm not a good example that it doesn't stunt your growth, but it's been proven that it doesn't. Caffeine does not have any effect on your growth. Where can I find it most often? You can find it with coffee. You can find it in energy drinks. You can find it in soft drinks. And you can find it in teas. A lot of people think that switching from coffee to tea is a healthier alternative. There is a lot less caffeine, but if you consume tea twice as much as you consume coffee to kind of make up for it, it's just as bad. You can also find caffeine in things like chocolate. Excessive amounts of chocolate kind of gives you the same high that coffee does. No caffeine, why bother? This is a lot of people's attitude when it comes to coffee. A lot of people look down on people who drink decaf because it's why would you drink coffee if there is no caffeine? A lot of people I question, are they drinking coffee because they like it, or are they drinking coffee because of its addictive properties? Because I know that when I drink coffee, I drown it in sugar and milk and everything possible to kind of wipe the taste out, but to still get the caffeine. So I don't even think I'm a big coffee fan. I'm a big fan of what it helps me do. So those are the effects of caffeine, and this speech was not to tell you not to drink coffee, but to tell you to please drink caffeine responsibly. Thank you.